Hi everyone. So I hope you have watched my last video in that I have explained you about the path parameters in FastAPI. Now in this video we'll learn about query parameters. So now let's get started. So now I'll go into my VS Code and then here we'll code. Okay. So first of all, let's say we are going in this URL. Okay, localhost 8000, and if I am passing something like question mark uh, question mark page is equal to true, then this is one kind of query which we are querying, right? So we want to get the page which is having the value 2. So this kind of thing which we are passing with the URL. So this is not the parameter which we are passing, but we are actually passing the query. Okay, so now suppose we want to get this page. Okay, so now what we'll do, we will add the value, means query value here. Okay, no, not query value, query key here, and then we can also get we can just return that. We can also use that. So now we can just return that. So I'll just return that. So now I'll say page is, and then I'll say page. Okay, so now as you can see, we are not returning this with the this path parameter, but we are returning the query here. Okay, so now if I'll refresh this page with this. Okay, so if I by default go in localhost, then it will not work. Okay, because we haven't defined any path, or we haven't added any query here, so it will take query. So now what we need to do, so now we need to add some query here. So I will say question mark and then page is equal to 2. So as you can see, we are getting the response pages and we are getting the page number. Okay, so if I want to make this as an optional, um, okay, so that I can do by adding the none. So now I'll say none, and then now I'll try to go here. So by this we are not able to do the none. So now let's check. So now to do things optional, we need to we need to we need to say something like this. So we are just defining the page value as a none. So by default it will take none. Now if I want to make this optional, then I will need to import union module. Okay, so now we'll import that. So in Python 3 or 3.6 or above, we need to use this union. Otherwise we need to use this pipe symbol which is introduced in Python 3.10 plus version. Okay, so now let's do that. So now I'll import that, and now I will use something called union here. Okay, and now we need to say something like this, not here, it will be here. So by default I want to I want to give the uh, I want to give the data type. We can also define the data type for this. So if we want to define the data type for this page as a string, then we need to define something like str. And if we are not passing anything, then it will consider it as a none. Okay, so this none is for defining the default value, and this none is for defining this as a optional field. Okay, so now let's run, and now let's go back, and now so as you can see, we are not passing anything. So now it is also returning us the response that page is null. So now this is working fine, right? And suppose so, and we haven't passed anything. So now it is also working. So now I'll go into my localhost slash docs, and I'll show you that. As you can see, we are not getting any kind of thing here. Means this is not the optional, means this is the optional thing, right? So if we'll not pass anything, that will also work. So now I will define some another query parameters. So now let's say id and is equal to now I'll also pass id here. So now let's go, and now let's go into this. So let's go into this URL. Okay, so now this is not the right syntax here. So id is not accessible. So now uh, we also need to pass this id before. Let's try to uh, add before this. So now let's uh, let's go into this. As you can see, id field is required. Okay, so now we'll pass id here. Note that we are not passing page here, still it is working because we have assigned it as an optional field, right? So now we'll pass id is equal to 1, and like we have added id, I guess, but we are passing in parameter, so we need to pass in as a query. Okay, so now we'll pass it as a query, so id is equal to 1, and we are not returning it as an in a return JSON. So now we'll say id is, and then we'll say id. Okay, so now we can get this id whatever we pass. So now I will just try again, and as you can see, we are getting id is equal to none, sorry, id is 1, which we are passing, and also we are getting page is null because we are not passing page. Okay, so if we want to pass page as well, then we can pass that as well. So let's say I'm passing 1, then that will not work. Why? Because let's pass, and this is working because dynamically it is converting this integer to string. Okay, so we are passing 1, but it will consider it as a string. Okay, so now I'll go into my Swagger, and sorry, I'll go into my docs page, and then I'll try to see. So as you can see, it is required, means id is required, and now uh, we will assign the id like data type of this id as well. So we'll say id colon str. Okay, so now we can only pass the string value. So now if I'll try to pass integer, means it will also automatically get converted to the string. Okay, and now let's go into docs, and here as you can see, now it got changed. So now it will only accept the string value. So if I'll try to add some integer value here, let's say 1, and it is optional, right? So now if I'll execute this, then it will uh, as you can see, for id, if we are passing 1, then it is converting that 1 uh, to the string. Okay, so now it is converting that into string, and if I'll pass something called 12 here, then if I'll execute this, then as you can see, we are getting 12 here, right? So now it is working. Okay, so now what we can do, we can add also parameters, means parameters into our path with the this query parameters. So now we'll do, so now suppose we are adding something as a, let's say we are we are adding some id, let's say p underscore id. Okay, so this is a PID which is we are passing in a path, so we can also get that. So now this order will not matter. If I'll try to add that PID here, then also fine, but now we'll add PID here. So p underscore id, so PID. Okay, so now we can get that PID from our URL, and then we can just access that. So now PID is, and let's say PID, right? So now if I'll try to go, and I'll just go in this page. So as you can see, now uh, now we need to go in, we also need to pass PID as well. So now I am passing 2 in a path. Okay, here note that we are passing 2 as a path parameter, and then question mark, and then we are giving this query. So now if I'll refresh, as you can see, we are getting this kind of output. So we are also getting PID, then also we are getting ID, and then also page number. So this is the thing which is we can do with multipath and query parameters in FastAPI. Okay, multiple path and query parameters in FastAPI, and yeah, that is all thing. Like by default, it will treat, if will not pass none, then it will treat as a mandatory thing. So if we want to do optional, then we can do like this. Okay, and we need to assign the, we can also assign the default value. Okay, so now if I want to assign the default value as something called page 000 to this. Okay, so that also I can do. So now if I'll go into my Swagger docs, if I refresh this, okay, so as you can see, by default, if it will not pass anything in this page, it will take this page 00. Okay, so I hope you understood this. So that's all about this query parameters. I hope you understood this concept. If you did, then please do like and subscribe the channel. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, keep sharing, keep watching, and follow this series. Bye bye.